Warning, this video contains strong language and graphic photos. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello, my hooked honeys, and welcome back to Hooked. If you're new here, my name is Leanne, and Hooked is basically where we talk about some true crime cases and do some crochet projects together. And on today's episode, we will be finishing the other leg of these shorts that I'm making for myself here. And it's actually going to be a part of like a onesie. I'm trying to finish up the shorts, finish up the top, get everything together. We'll get there, you know? Also, we will be talking about the deaths of 2 Westerville police officers and, you know, what happened, how they died, how they get there, all of the things, right? And of course, we do have a new tradition on Hooked where we grab our crochet candle and our lighter, and we will go ahead and spark that up. When the insecurities of one man leads to the death of 2 men, and not just any 2 men, 2 police officers. Well, we're going to talk about the deaths of Westerville police officers Anthony Morelli and Eric Joering. We're going to talk about this real quick. So I did 30 rows of single crochet, and then I started doing 2 rows of double crochet, single crochet, 2 rows of double crochet, single crochet, 2 rows of double crochet, single crochet, another 2 rows of double crochet, and then single crochet. And then here I did the bubble stitch. So I wrapped it around I went at the bottom about 3 times. I chained one and then chained another one, skipped a stitch, and then that's how we got those spaces in between there. So on this side, we're going to finish this side. I have already started the first second row of that, which is considered row 3. Yes. So for the shorts, I am using a 5.5 millimeter hook. This one has all that design on there, so you can't really see if that even says 5.5, but it is. Promise, it's 5.5. Nope. Don't like the tip. There we go. Need a little bit more of a grip to it. Quintin Smith, who was born February 23rd, 1987. Quintin was separated from his wife for about a year, with whom he shared a daughter with. At the time of the murders, Quintin was living back in Cleveland, Ohio with his mom, but on February 8th, he came back to Westerville, Ohio, which is about 20 minutes from Columbus, where I live. He came back and to visit his daughter. Now, his wife, they were separated at the time, his wife Candace, was nice enough to let him stay with her and even let him use her car. Because, baby, we would not, no. Wouldn't be me. You cannot use my vehicle. No. And you cannot stay here with me. No. There's a reason why we're separated. No, thank you. So, on one of these occasions, when Quintin was using Candace's car, he discovered a book. And she had the name of one of her male coworkers in it. Now, when he seen this name, honey, he had to have saw red. He went into I don't even know, rage. He went into rage. And what's crazy is he and Candace had been separated for a year or almost a year, and she wasn't even romantically involved with this coworker. She literally just was a good friend. She'd give him a couple rides here and there, just being nice. She took him to his father's house so that he could get his car. She took him to a medical facility so that he could go and visit his wife who had cancer. And she also took him and other coworkers to a work-related seminar. But Quintin didn't ask no questions. He thought it was his business, for whatever reason, to just go off his emotions. Again, not asking no type of questions. Instead, he FaceTimed Candace. And I'm sure Whatever he said on that phone call was nothing nice at all. So once he got back to Candace's house, he started beating her. He was choking her with 2 hands, causing her to pass out. And when she awoke to Quintin slapping her in the face, calling her name. Yeah, stupid. Candace did call the police, but she hung up in fear that Quintin would hear the phone call and possibly start beating her again. Now, one thing we should all know: do not call the police and hang up. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. I'm not gonna lie, I've done it once when I was a kid, and I swear they showed up like 5 to 10 minutes after I hung up on them. Like, I called and just hung up, and they were there within like 5 to 10 minutes. I was so scared. Honey, I was so scared, and I got in so much trouble. I didn't know what to do. Like, no, whatever. Anyways, so instead, in this case, the cops, like 911 operators, called back. So the first time they called back, all they could hear over the phone was Candace, like, sobbing. Like, not even crying. She was, like, sobbing on the phone. And then the second time they called back, they just got her voicemail, which is, like, super sketch, right? So of course they dispatched a couple officers to go and see what was going on, and you feel me, it seemed like a domestic dispute, so they were going to go check out and see what was going on, like police officers do. Officers Eric Joering and Anthony Morelli and Timothy Ray arrived at Candace's house about 8 minutes after the initial 911 phone call. Eric and Anthony started out front while Timothy took a look in the back. On the inside of the house at this time, Quintin confronted Candace, carrying both guns and asking her to hold them, which she refused. Quintin put both guns under the couch cushions, and at 12:12, officers told dispatchers that it was very quiet before knocking on the door. Quintin realized that there were officers there, and he asked Candace, "Did you call the cops on me?" "Well, yeah, dumbass, you just beat me up." What the hell? I'm sure she didn't say that, but I'm pretty sure she was thinking it, because what type of question was that? What? Yes, I called the cops on you. I sure did. I did. Quintin opened the door to officers Joering and Morelli as they explained they were there responding to a domestic dispute. Candace moved the door back so that they could see her and said, "He just got done beating me up, and he has a gun." She stepped back, trying to let them inside in hopes that they would arrest Quintin, but unfortunately something else happened. Quintin heads for the couch and grabs the guns. "Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it," is all that the cops could get out of their mouths before there was a full-blown shootout in this woman's home. As the shots started, Candace ran outside and hid in her front lawn where she had bushes. Quintin shot Joering point blank range, and the autopsy showed that Joering was shot about 3 times. The shot that killed him went through his left side of his forehead and through his frontal. Morelli was shot on the left side of his chest through the gap in his bulletproof vest. Officers managed to shoot Quintin about 5 times. It got cold down here, y'all. Yes, I'm cold. But after shots were fired, Officer Ray went around to the front and inside the house, where he found Joering, Morelli, and Smith, all who had been wounded from gunshot wounds. He tried to aid Joering, but soon realized that he was dead. He moved over to Morelli, who was saying that he was hit. While he was still trying to tend to Morelli, Quintin was trying to crawl away, but at the same time he was tending to Morelli, he was trying to contain Quintin, like, you don't move. You stay right there. Now, Candace and Quintin had a child together, right? So where was this baby? Where was this child when all of this was going on? Because we got to remember, there was a shootout in the front room as soon as you walk in the door, right? So let's just take a second. I'm gonna let y'all, because I was mad. My dog up there going crazy. Y'all hear him? Anyways, this poor baby was on the couch. Yep. While shots were being fired, just feet in front of her on the couch. Luckily, she was unharmed. Backup and medics were called and they tried to save Joering, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. Now, as far as Officer Morelli, he was still able to speak and told another officer that it was hard for him to breathe. But witnesses reported that after the medics arrived, Morelli stopped speaking and seemed to be losing consciousness. So I'm at that last stitch of this row. So I'll show you guys how I close them off. I just do the last stitch, slip stitch where my stitch marker is, which is in that first double crochet, and then cut. I'm on row 4, which is the single crochet, what I'm doing of a different color. Also, I made a mistake with these shorts, but I was way too far to restart them. I did make them a little too wide. So what that means is I need a little bit more hippage and a little less waist. So Morelli, right? He was transported to OSU hospital in critical condition and he later died. Eric Joering was born August 6, 1978, and he was a Westerville police officer for 16 years at the time of his death. He was married and had 3 daughters. Anthony Morelli was born February 7th, 1964 in Honolulu, Hawaii, and he was raised in Millison, Ohio? Mallison? I should know these little cities and stuff in Ohio. I was born in Ohio. I should know this. Morelli was a Westerville police officer for 29 years at the time of his death, and he was also married and had a daughter and a son. One of his children did get married after, soon after he died or right before he died, and he did have a grandchild that was born right after his passing, which is really sad. He didn't get a chance to meet his grandchild. On November 21st, Judge Richard Fry sentenced Quintin to 2 consecutive life sentences without parole, along with 26.5 years imprisonment. Judge Fry told Quintin, "This jury spared your life, and you owe it to the rest of us to take this to heart, and to be as good as a person for the rest of your life as you can possibly be. It will not pay back the families and the community that you cost these wonderful officers, but it will be a way for you to show in some small way some remorse." Quintin was admitted to the Joering Correctional Institution on December 5th, 2019, where he will be serving his sentence. Okay, so everyone knows that I work at Great Clips, right? So I'm doing a client's hair yesterday, and I'm low-key just telling her about this episode about how I was doing a case on 2 Westerville police officers that were shot and killed when they were responding to a domestic dispute or whatever, right? So I had told her that, what did I say? Oh, I told her how people were wanting him to get the death penalty, but he ended up getting, and then she cut me off. She was like, he ended up getting 2 life sentences. I was like, yeah. And then she had said their names, the names of the 2 cops. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, I was on that jury. Were you now? And she did say that there were people that wanted them to get the death penalty and was very, very upset that he didn't get the death penalty, which I understand. You know, like, you take a man's life. My thing is, Ohio, how do you guys want him to get the death penalty for shooting 2 police officers? But my last case, a man raped a 9-month-old baby, and that man was still able to be on the streets for him to commit a murder to someone. Like, what are we talking about? Like, come on. It's the same thing. The child thing is worse. Like, let's talk about it. The child thing is worse. So that deserved a death penalty, but he was still somehow to even somehow still even to walk amongst the streets and amongst all of us. Like, what? So that's my little, while my hooked honey is hit. That was the tragic death of 2 Westerville police officers, Eric Joering and Anthony Morelli. If you would like to see what I'm doing with the shorts, I will be posting that in a couple days on the Instagram page. And of course, follow me on Instagram at HookWTrueCrime, because you know I'm not just doing shorts. You know, I got to be extra. I got to do a whole situation with it. And make sure you subscribe, because I'm here for you every Wednesday. Love y'all. Bye.